You catch the shuttle bus to the plant at 10:30 p.m., same route as every night. You stare out the window at the concrete apartment blocks of Pripyat. It's April 25th. You're a control room engineer on the night shift for Reactor 4. You badge in, you walk down the endless linoleum hallways. The air always smells like hot metal, ozone, and cheap floor wax. You grab a coffee from the break room. It's lukewarm. You walk into the control room and sit at your console. There are hundreds of dials and switches on the wall in front of you. You know what every single one does. You've sat in this exact chair for 3 years. The job is boring, honestly. It's basically just monitoring a giant radioactive teapot. The core gets hot, boils water, spins a turbine, and makes electricity. The guy you're relieving looks completely drained. He hands you a frayed clipboard. "They delayed the turbine test," he says, grabbing his coat. "The grid needed power all day. It's your problem now." Your supervisor walks in a minute later. He's already lighting a cigarette. He wants this test checked off so he can get his quarterly bonus. He points at the power dials. "Start bringing it down." The test is supposed to be simple, a blackout simulation. If the main power grid ever fails, the backup diesel generators take exactly 60 seconds to kick on. 60 seconds without cooling water means the core melts. So the plant bosses want to know, if we cut the power, will the massive steam turbines keep spinning long enough on their own momentum to pump water for that missing minute? To test it, you have to bring the reactor power down. But because the grid bosses in Kyiv delayed you, the core has been idling at half capacity for 9 straight hours. You look at the telemetry. When a reactor idles this long, it builds up xenon 135, pronounced xenon 135. It's basically nuclear ash. It acts like a poison, absorbing neutrons and choking the reaction. The reactor is sluggish. It's like trying to drive a car with a flooded engine. The manual explicitly states you do not run this test below 700 megawatts. If it drops further, the xenon chokes the reactor out entirely, and you are legally required to shut it down for 24 hours to let the poison burn off. Your supervisor is pacing behind your chair. He's a hardliner, a company man who screams first and asks questions never. If he aborts the test tonight, he has to explain to the ministry why he failed. He loses his bonus. He loses his shot at a promotion. "Keep bringing it down," he orders. It's not a request. You put your hand on the heavy plastic toggles. You flip them down. You can hear the deep mechanical thuds of the control rods lowering into the core beneath your feet. The analog needles on the wall start to dip. You expect them to stabilize at 700. They don't. The needles don't stop at 700. They plummet. They hit 30 megawatts. The reactor is effectively dead, drowning in xenon. The protocol is crystal clear. You shut it down. You walk away for 24 hours. You tell the supervisor it's over. He doesn't take it well. He gets in your face, your job, your pension, your apartment in Pripyat. He tells you if you don't raise the power right now, he'll find someone who will, and you'll be shoveling coal by Monday. Pull the rods, now. The control rods are the brakes. Pull them out, the reaction speeds up. Drop them in, it slows. The manual says you never operate with fewer than 28 rods in the core, ever. It's the absolute red line. You look at the board. You grab the toggles. You start pulling, not just a few, almost all of them. You leave 18, then 12, then 8. You are stepping on the gas pedal of a machine that weighs 1,000 tons while simultaneously cutting the brake lines. Power creeps back up. It fights through the poison, climbs to 200 megawatts and stabilizes. Your supervisor exhales a long cloud of cigarette smoke and claps you on the shoulder. He thinks he won. You look at the water flow meters. You know the truth. The machine is completely unstable, a loaded gun balanced on a razor's edge. You've stripped away every single safety net the engineers designed, and the actual test hasn't even started yet. It's 1:23 a.m. The supervisor gives the signal. The test begins. You shut off the steam valves to the main turbines. The massive blades start to spool down. As they slow, the water pumps slow down with them. Less water flowing through the core means the water that remains gets hotter, fast. In most reactors around the world, if the cooling water boils away, the nuclear reaction naturally chokes out. But this is an RBMK, Reactor Bolshoi Mощnosti Kanalny reactor. It has a fatal design flaw. Here, liquid water acts as a sponge for neutrons. When that water flashes into steam, the sponge disappears. There is nothing left to absorb the extra energy. The steam doesn't put out the fire. It feeds it. You watch the water flow meters. The needles are jumping violently. The water inside the core isn't just boiling, it's vaporizing instantly. The heavy concrete floor beneath your boots starts to hum. Then, it vibrates. It's not a mechanical vibration. It feels heavy and organic. Like a 1,000-ton animal trying to break out of a cage right under your feet. You look back at your console. The power needles don't just climb. They snap hard to the right. The reactor was supposed to stay at 200 megawatts. It hits 500, then 1,000. It is doubling every single second. The xenon poison that was choking the reactor just minutes ago, the sudden, massive spike in heat just burned it all away in an instant. That poison was the only thing holding the beast back. You look around the room. The veteran engineers are frozen. The machine isn't responding to the manual controls anymore. The brakes are pulled out. The gas pedal is jammed to the floor, and the engine is revving into infinity. Nobody moves. Nobody speaks. The floor is shaking so hard the coffee mugs are rattling off the consoles. AZ-5, the shift foreman shouts. AZ-5. The emergency scram. It's the ultimate safety net. You slam your hand onto the button. You expect the heavy clunk of 200 boron rods dropping into the core, instantly killing the reaction. You expect the violent vibration in the floor to stop, but the control board lights up with warnings. The rods aren't going all the way down, they're jammed. What the operations manual didn't tell you, what the state kept as a classified secret to save money, is that the tips of those emergency rods are made of graphite. And in this specific reactor state, graphite accelerates the reaction for a fraction of a second. Before they stop the fire, they pour pure gasoline on it. At the bottom of the reactor, the heat spikes to 10 times its normal maximum. The fuel channels melt and warp. The rods are permanently locked in place. Then, the floor drops out from under you. A deafening, concussive boom rips the heavy steel blast doors entirely off their hinges. The pressure wave knocks the breath out of your lungs. The air instantly tastes like raw metal and blood. The smell of ozone is so thick it coats the back of your throat. The main lights die. Red emergency sirens start wailing, a chaotic, off-pitch scream cutting through the choking dust. You stumble out into the hallway. You look out a shattered corridor window toward the reactor hall. You expect to see the roof of Reactor 4. There is no roof. The 1,000-ton biological shield has been tossed into the air like a coin. Instead, there's a massive column of glowing, ethereal blue light shooting straight up into the pitch-black sky. It's Cherenkov radiation. It's mesmerizing. It's beautiful. You are looking directly into an exposed, burning nuclear core. You don't know it yet, but every cell in your body is currently being shredded. You just took a lethal dose of radiation. Your life, your career, and your entire pristine world in Pripyat just ended. And it's only 1:24 a.m.